The water is starting to bubble in the kettle. The leaves have been chosen for both their flavor and for their magical properties. Soon, the tea will be brewed. Wait, do we make tea or are we doing magic? Wait, is brewing tea doing magic? Is magic really that simple? Well, a lot of times, yes. I think there's a lot of mythologizing that goes into the topic of magic, and before we start talking more about magical things, we want to break it down and really have a conversation about what is magic. So come along with me for this wonderful discussion as we walk together down creation's paths. Bridget Eve, my name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan Druid and Priest of Bridget.
My name is Brian. I am a Christopagan Druid and sous chef to the doctor.
Today we're going to be tackling the hardest and the most foundational question to a lot of the work that we're doing here, and that is, what is magic? If you've listened to our earlier episodes, we've kind of talked about magic and our magical practice and various things that you can do for magic, and we realized we hadn't taken the time to set terms. Because I know not everyone listening has done magic before, or maybe you have a different conception of magic. Maybe it's one that you've only gotten from books and movies and not from actual practice. Magic is both a lot more mundane and a lot more supernatural than people give it credit for, but I hate the word supernatural. We'll talk about that all in a minute. But before we get into all that, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever the words are on the app that you're currently listening to us on. We do original Christopagan and Druidic content every day on this channel. We've got a lot coming up with Samhain, and you don't want to miss anything. But trust me, we've got a lot. It's going to be amazing. All right. So what is magic? Magic is the subtle manipulation of energy. Yeah, we're done.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye. Kind of.
I think that people get lost in all of the words there. And while I want to be that pedantic person that let's describe subtle, let's just explain manipulation, let's explain magic, that'll be up over on Wisdom's Cry, because I like doing that sort of thing. But for now, let's talk about what magic actually is. When we talk about the subtle energies, yes, we're talking about the, whatever you want to call it, the prana, the chi, the ki, the mana, the life force, the life stream, the whatever you want to call it, the energies of life, this kind of magical field, the force that is all around everything. But that's not it. I feel like our magical practices are hindered when we're just thinking about magic in the form of, I am putting things out into the universe and the universe is going to take care of it. There is a huge part of that. And I can tell you from many, many decades of experience, amazing things do come back. But magic isn't just those subtle energies in the cosmos. They're also the subtle energies within you.
Yes, that's why I like to break it down. The first fork in the tree happens where you go with things seen and things unseen. It's like a really easy, simple version of the subtle energies that are unseen are the fun things. Chemistry and biology is magic of the things seen. It's manipulating the subtle energies.
Yeah.
Biohacking is
It's a form of it's a form of alchemy.
It's a form of alchemy. This is manipulation of the subtle energies of the seen is biohacking. And that's the thing. Like you said, a lot of people get caught up in the unseen aspect of it, and they forget the seen part.
This is one of the blessings of being a Christopagan, is I have St. James in the back of my head yelling at me constantly. Faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. To the point where I am surprised we haven't started getting comments yet. Like, I get it. Faith without works is dead. Because he's going to scream in the back of my head. I'm going to keep saying it. But figuring out the right diet to have, all of those things, that is subtle energy. Getting your sleep schedule right. That is a form of magic, and sometimes varies, and it varies from person to person. When I talk about re-enchanting our lives, a lot of the disenchantment that we got was this weird normalization movement where, okay, everyone is going to get up at the same time. They're going to eat their meals at the same time of day. They're going to be able to learn, work, perform various cognitive tasks at the same time of day. We're all going to go to sleep at the same time, and we're going to wake up and do it again. Because that's not how humans work. There are a lot of ways that humans work. Some people work better. I go back and forth as I like to oscillate through everything. Sometimes I do biphasic sleep, where I sleep for a couple hours. I get up. I'm full of energy. I am refreshed. I do some stuff for a couple hours. I get tired again. I go back to bed, sleep again, wake up, continue on my day. Sometimes, oh, it's bedtime and I'm out like a light and I don't wake up until morning. Sometimes my sleep schedule is earlier. Sometimes it's later. The main disenchantment that we've had is that we've disconnected ourselves from not only the rhythms of nature, but our own natural biorhythms. And so one of the first and most important parts of our magical practice is starting to understand those. I can tell you all day long that the new moon is a time of emptying, hollowing out, and letting go. The full moon is the time of transformation and great power and the surge of energy in the world, because that is how I experience those moons. I experience them very, very viscerally. I always know when the new moon's coming up because I can't stay awake. My biorhythms are tied to the lunar cycle, and the closer we get to the new moon, the earlier and earlier I get tired, the less and less energy I have in the day. But you might not experience the moons that way. You have to remember, we're all working to manipulate energy. We have a grand tradition behind us where we can look at our ancestors and what they have figured out. But if it doesn't work for you, the new moon might be your great source of energy, and this full moon might not be. You might connect more to one of the quarters or one of the other phases of the moon. You might not have any connection to the moon at all. That's fun. Learning your own natural rhythms will help out with your magic so much. What helps you out, what gets you there. A lot of potion making, we can talk about all the subtle energies that go into it, but there's actually science that goes into it too. Lavender tea is a wonderful, I have a lavender potion that I make with lavender, chamomile, and mint. It tastes delicious. And if you're not careful and you drink too much, it will put you to sleep. And it's a wonderful little concoction. I chose them for their magical qualities, but they all have medicinal qualities as well. And so there is a bit of back and forth with all of the work that we're doing. Now, I don't like the terms, but there is this idea in more traditional magical circles, especially in the more occult circles, of high magic and low magic. And this is actually what kept me from using words like witch and druid for a really long time. I studied magic in a high magic tradition. What is high magic? It's, we're going to do a ceremony. It is very ritual based. There are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of words. We're lighting candles. We're blowing candles out. We're pouring water libations here, there, and yonder. We're moving physically around a space while chanting and interacting with spirits and what have you. That is, yeah, it's a lot of prep work. There are sometimes costume changes. There are props that are brought in, right? It's a lot, and that's high magic. High magic is generally intended for greater things, like, reaching your a state of perfection. You're reaching your higher self, helping to protect the world, traveling into the spheres of the cosmos. Low magic, which again, I do not like the term, is mundane everyday magic. The tinctures and teas that we make, so the literal potions, that's what a potion is. A potion is a tincture or a tea.
When you make a really good soup, this is what cracks me up all the time, because druids forever tell the tale of the Dagda, his cauldron of plenty. That is a perfect soup cooking in a pot.
There are 3 cauldrons in Druidic lore that are important. The Dagda's cauldron, to which no one leaves unsatisfied. So it's filling and wholesome. From there, you have Bran's cauldron that everyone finds their remedy in. So the cure to whatever bothers you is in there. And then Govinu, who is the great smith god of the Tua de Danann, he, once a year, would pull out his cauldron and make a meal that was so delightful that it brought joy and peace to the land.
Because those are the qualities of a really good soup. It will fill you up, but because of how it cooks everything, it breaks down and extracts, but contains in it all of the nutrients and vitamins and collagen and everything that the body needs. It breaks it all down and makes it bioavailable so that when you're having it, it is literally healing and working the subtle energies of your body. And of course, any communal meal where people can gather together and eat in fellowship is just bringing peace to the land.
I think people get too locked into either ritual work, if you're looking at things from a high magic perspective, like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn or Thelema or something like that, or from a low magic perspective. And again, I really don't like those terms because it's all magic. It's all manipulation of subtle energies. It's the energies of your mind, your imagination, the energies of your body, and yes, the subtle energies in the world. But yes, when you cook, that's magic. Now, you can make it more intentionally magical in bringing your intention onto the foods that you're cooking.
This is when you're mixing the manipulation of the subtle energies of the seen and the unseen, and you're mixing them together, where you're putting that intention into the meal as you're preparing it.
I'm somebody who loves teas. Every tea is a potion. I may want mint tea, but you know what? Mint on itself is kind of a bland flavor. It's fine to just use mint leaves to make a tea. Now I can take my both magical knowledge and my knowledge of the effects and flavors of various herbs and spices and concoct each tea to be a special magical brew. It is a wonderful thing to do. That is magic. I know you might be saying, why do you keep talking about tea? Because magic is that simple. Yes, we can talk about spell crafting and ritual making and enchanting items, making charms and talismans and all of that. That is a part of magic. That is a wonderful part of magic. As I'm sitting there talking to you right behind Brian's head, I can see our St. Bridget's cross that we have enchanted for the door to keep bad things out of the house. We have charms literally hanging on our wall. We have charms all around us. Yes, I do that kind of magic too. But I think it's important for us to realize that we have been cut off from those natural magics that are our birthright. Making that morning cup of tea. I have known alchemists, and I mean honest to God, and using chemicals to do various arcane things, alchemists that did not have as detailed a practice as many of my other friends have of making coffee in the morning. They have their special pot that has to be done a special way with the special beans that have to go through the special grinder to make the special grind that has to be in there, and everything is timed perfectly. The heat of the water temperature has to be just right before it goes in. You're doing a ritual spell every morning to make your coffee.
I'm laughing because I'm sitting there going, yeah, but the flavonoids, to get the right fatty acids to extract it just the right. Okay, I'll stop.
That's the disenchantment.
But
That
yes,
is
yes.
not realizing when I do the coffee in this elaborate ritual, it brings me joy. It brings these mental energies into my life. You may not even realize the subtle energies it's bringing into your life, right? You have somebody do the magic for you, that you go in and you rattle off one of those crazy coffee house orders where a little bit of this, a little bit of that, mix this, that, and have somebody else make magic wake up potion for you. But we divorced ourselves from this wonderful experience of enchantment where we're seeing how this is affecting both the energies of our body, the energies of our mind, and the energies of the world around us. If you're doing something to put yourself in a good mood, that is magic. You are changing your mood. You're manipulating the subtle energies of your mind to go from this mood to that mood. So you put on a song, it's the same song every time, or the same artist every time, and you sing in your car to the top of your lungs to get amped up for something or to relax at the end of the workday or whatever. That is magic. Now, you don't have to set it aside and make it the most holy, because that's the Imperial Church talking. That's the baggage that we got from the Imperial Church of it has to be special and set aside. There are times to do elaborate rituals. There are times to do elaborate spells, sigil work, and the rest. But it's so much easier. We could do an episode on sigils today or tomorrow, and I could talk for hours because I love sigil magic. If you're not already in a place where you're seeing the regular, mundane, everyday magic of this is my favorite meal. The other day, Brian and a friend of ours were out at the store, and they saw a cinnamon bun granola that was one of the holiday things. And they just had a moment of, we have to have this, and bought it and forgot about it. And we're just sitting in the house, we're hanging out, we're playing video games together. And I was like, man, I could really use a snack. Not quite hungry enough to bother making dinner, but I'll use a snack. And our friend was like, yeah, kind of snacky too. And all of a sudden, Brian got this look on his face and went, I have you, and ran off to the kitchen. This is magic. The joy that came over all three of us.
And to point at some of the details in this with the working of the subtle energies. So first was our magical journey. If you go back to some of the previous episodes and when I talk about when I go shopping, I've turned this into this whole magical adventure. This was one of the tokens we yielded from this magical adventure we brought back. But because I'm working subtle energies, it wasn't time yet. So I knew I needed to set it aside. And I set it aside until it would be time, and waited and waited and waited. And then it was in that moment I saw now is the time, pulled it out, let those subtle energies flow. And it was a magical moment. It just enlivened everybody in the room. It was an amazing snack.
It was the exact thing that all of us wanted. Like, we didn't even know we wanted.
It was exactly what we all wanted at the exact right time that we all wanted it.
And when you allow yourself to accept those synchronicities, that these magical moments can happen, you start seeing them as what they are. They are a manipulation of the subtle energies of your moods, of your diet, because you're putting some food in you. You're going to, a little sugary something's going to give you a little bit more energy. Like, that's a duh, right? But it was also everything that went into finding just the right thing to just have in the house. Those little subtle magics really are the cornerstone of understanding how to do the bigger magics. Because we get lost in that we've seen movies, we've played video games, we've watched TV shows, and we want to light a candle, say our chant, have thunder and lightning crash out of nowhere outside, and poof, cloud of smoke, and there is whatever. And that is not how magic works. Magic can bring new things into your life. Magic can bring things to you. It will not come in a puff of smoke.
Let's leave it this way. It's extremely, extremely rare for anything to be that immediate and that extravagant. I think is maybe the right term.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bombastic, maybe.
Yeah, bombastic
is probably a better word for it. But yeah, that is so extremely rare. Most will not see that kind of a thing. That's for entertainment.
And so once you start seeing how the regular day-to-day magic, because we're all floating, we're all awash in magic every day, you will then start seeing how, oh, well, if I did a little bit more of this, or if I added some of this in, right? Oh, I can see that thing picking up, or this thing getting better, or that thing improving. And magic works through observation. You have to be careful that you're not just doing bias, that you're not just playing off your confirmation bias. Look for connections. If every time you do this, does that happen? Because if it's every time, that's a correspondence. And that's what we're looking for. It took me a long time to be comfortable with a lot of the words that are out there. Because again, I came from a very rigidly controlled Christian upbringing. On top of that, my magical studies, which started when I was quite young, were in a so-called high magic tradition. And so magic became a very precious thing for me. And it took me years before I was comfortable with using words like witch. And it was discomfort for several reasons. Christianity and witches, which we are definitely talking about tomorrow, so don't miss tomorrow's episode. But also, can you be a high ceremonial practitioner of magic and a witch? Yes. The answer is yes. But it was a struggle in me, because if you ask a lot of folk, they will say no. And like the big names, Aleister Crowley would say no.
Yeah.
Israel Regardie would probably say no. Dion Fortune, I don't know about. I think Dion Fortune might not have said no. She might have said yes.
The sad answer to that is because the imperial structure of the different groups, and it's not just the church, the different magical groups, they want that control. So they need to create a dependency. The fun thing is they're actually doing magic. It's actually manipulating the subtle energies, the social energies now that they're manipulating, but it's unseen. And they're trying to create control through that dependency, because you have to be dependent on them for that to work. You can't do it yourself. They want you to focus on the big grand stuff too. Here's the thing for those pragmatic thinkers out there. Here's a fun little nugget for you. Most of your life is going to be made up from the subtle, small, simple workings of magic. 80, 90% of your time is worked in that, the tea, the food and drink. That's most of your life.
Yeah.
The big grand stuff is actually 10%, 20%. It's a small percentage of your life. They don't want you to know that, because once again, they lose that control.
And if you don't know the history of the Golden Dawn, I was shocked when they did it, but Extra History actually did an episode on the magical battle of London that happened at the Golden Dawn Temple at the very tail end of the original Golden Dawn's existence.
I laughed so hard I wept a little.
Yeah.
Because it's like something out of Harry Potter fanfic.
Actually happened. Yeah. It was a thing that actually, honest to God, happened.
And also, like with the complexity of magic, when you start looking into the subtle workings and the aftermath, it's like, oh, Oh, actually,
Oh, it
all that stuff that seemed silly in the moment, like, did not seem like it actually mattered. There was huge implications.
when you look at what happened to McGregor Mathers in those in the aftermath, what happened with Yates after that, what happened with Crowley after that, you can see there not just the order itself. The order itself ends up collapsing shortly after this battle. It had tangible effects, and not just from the argument on the stairwell. There are other effects rippled out from it, and yeah, I couldn't believe a mainstream content provider like Extra History would ever talk about anything that esoteric. Well, they did, and they did a really good job of trying to piece together from the various diaries, because there are conflicting stories about what happened there. Like, everyone agrees that the battle took place at the steps of the London Temple. Everyone agrees on that, but, there is debate. Who did what and how. Of course, Aleister Crowley's, he is the grand hero of it and whatnot, but yeah. So I struggled with a long time with this. And it wasn't until I read Philip Cargom's wonderful book, Druidcraft, that it just broke me down. I wouldn't say that my current magical practice is like 100% based on that book right now, mainly because I'd been practicing magic for a long time before I read it. But there was something about the simplicity in which he talked about trying to bring Druidry and witchcraft back together. Because if you don't know, Ross Nichols, who basically founded modern day Druidry, like 90% of modern day Druid practices come from Ross Nichols. And Gerald Gardner, who 90% of modern Wicca and witchcraft has its start with him, were best friends who owned they owned a ritual sword together. Like, they were that close of friends.
Pretty close.
They commiserated about a lot of stuff, and that's why there are so many similarities between witchcraft and Druidry.
Which we're going to get into in detail next week.
I think next week.
Coming up this month.
But as I let myself get into the craft part and really start allowing myself to think about this, because it's not something I started doing. It was giving myself permission to use the words. During the pandemic, Brian was having trouble sleeping. And my first instinct was I crocheted a little acorn and I stuffed herbs in it that help you relax and sleep, sealed it up, and we put it right under your pillow so that they would relax you at night. Like, without thinking. Like, this is just natural instinct. Oh, I need to make you a poultice. And not just like grab some paper, like I need to make sure, grab a bag or something. No, this needs to be an intentional, magical working. So praying with every stitch as I was making the little acorn, to put everything in, an acorn very specifically because I wanted to connect it into our Druid practice and connect it with the spirit of the trees and everything. It was very intentional, but there wasn't a thought of, well, what do I do about this? Well, let's start trying. We'll make a nighttime tea to help you relax. Here, let's make a poultice to put under your pillow so that it will help to relax you when you go back to bed. Like, this is just the way my mind worked. Because again, I have been practicing magic since I was in my teens. And that was a very long time ago, as some of my friends like to remind me. But it was giving myself permission to use words like witch, like craft, that was hardest for me. And if you've seen on the channel, there are two videos. Why am I Christopagan? Where I argue, maybe, but probably not. And then a couple months later, so yeah, I am a Christopagan. It was hard to give myself permission to use the words. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of us have grown up in this disenchanted world, and using words like magic feels superstitious, but it's not. First of all, everyone's practicing magic already. When you get sick, there's probably a certain kind of toast or a beverage or a soup that you make.
I was going to break it down just to everybody. A lot of people have a rigid morning routine.
Yeah.
Congratulations, that's a morning ritual. You just call it routine, it's a ritual. But there's certain prescribed prep work that has to be done beforehand. And then you have your ritual implements and process that you go through, and there's a specific order to it, and a close when you finish your routine, and then you start your day, ritual.
Learning and being okay with it being magic, accepting that you're doing magic. Your favorite sports ball team is playing, so you have to wear the jersey or order food from that one place, or
have your favorite token so that they can win.
There's a fine line between superstition and magic. And I want to point out that the origin of the term superstition was unsanctioned beliefs.
Yeah, it was outside the control of the imperial church.
Outside the control of the empire. That's a Roman word.
Oh, that's a
Christianity was superstition because it was not a recognized cult. To me, I define a superstition as anything that I do repeatedly that either is not bringing anything good in my life or that is causing me stress or anxiety. If I cannot work without this specific talisman on my table, that's a superstition now, and I need to wean myself off of that talisman. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about becoming more superstitious or even becoming less logical in the way that we do things. All magic is experimenta. That is the word that science took from us. And like I've said before, I want to take back. Magic is about experimentation. What can you do to better manipulate and utilize the energies of your mind, your imagination, and your life, and the subtle energies around you? That's all magic is. I've gotten to the place where I am comfortable calling myself a witch. I'm comfortable calling myself a druid. My grandfather was a cunning man, and he did teach me some things. I wish I had been smart enough and old enough to take better note of all the things he tried to show me, because we used to go on long walks in the woods, and he would point out and tell me about all the plants and what all the plants do. And I wish I was older and wiser and paid more better attention. But I do have some of that cunning person instinct in me, and I remember a lot of stuff that he taught me, and that's okay. We don't suddenly become irrational, raving lunatics because we believe in or practice magic. Now, if we spend too much time on witch talk, maybe, because there's some things going on over there that, I don't know, we probably won't do an episode on, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, I think the best example of this, I would highly recommend go to YouTube, go to Your Chaotic Witch Ant, and search They Cursed the Moon. It explains the TikTok thing that happened, and it's, I think, one of the not as weird as some of the things I've seen on Witch Talk, and it's pretty weird. So I go check that out. Plus, her channel is amazing. She would not identify as a Christopagan. She identifies herself as someone practicing Italian folk magic, but her magic invokes the saints and is rooted in the kind of folk Catholicism of her family. So if you like what we do, you'll probably vibe with a lot of her stuff too. But yeah, don't get distracted by the hype. Magic is actually quite ordinary. That's why I don't like the word supernatural. We're not doing anything supernatural. We are aligning ourselves with the forces of nature. And you know what? Once you understand how water works, you can make a hydroelectric dam and generate energy. And that's what we're learning how to do. That's what magic is. We're learning the various currents of energy that flow through the world, through ourselves and through our minds and our imaginations, and learning how to harness it to get stuff done. So I hope that helps you out. I really know that this is a basic episode, and if you are someone who has practiced magic for a long time, you're probably like, Farley, that was very, like, not even 100 level magic instruction. And I know. But the more I've talked to people, the more I've come to realize that there is this basic level we need to kind of get out there first. People need to be re-enchanted and see that they're living in a sea of enchantment already. And we can start talking about the poultices and the potions and the talismans and the spells and everything, because they do work. Alrighty. Thank you all for listening. I hope that this has been a good episode for you. Don't forget to like, share, comment. Let us know how you practice magic. Do you practice magic? Is this idea of magic new to you? I would love to know. Leave it in the comments, especially if you're listening to us on YouTube or Spotify. If you're listening to us anywhere else and they offer to let you leave a comment there, you can do that. It helps with the engagement, but they don't notify us. So we won't know that it's there, and we can only visit so many sites a day. So you can take that comment and go over to creationspaths.com and click chat. You can post your comment there and they will notify us and let us know that you have left a comment, and we will be able to have a conversation with you there. While you're there, if you have a few dollars you can pass our way, you can join and become a member. It really does help us out a lot. We are trying to make this our full-time job because we have a lot of information that we think is good for people. And based on the comments, a lot of inspiration that we can help you with your day-to-day life. And that money goes to help us keep the lights on, keep food on our table, and keep a roof over our heads. If you'd rather support us elsewhere, for now, you can go to Ko-fi or Patreon. We're endorsed on both. That's my personal account that goes to support everything I do, including my creative writing, my music, and everything else. We are talking about creating a special one just for this. Let us know if that's something you really, really want. We're debating. Let us know your thoughts on that. And you can follow us on social media. We are Christians Paths everywhere, but I'm most active on Blue Sky and Threads. I'm trying to do stuff on Instagram, but my brain does not work in Instagrammy ways. I'm trying. and we stopped using Twitter a long time ago. We are Gracious Pass on Twitter, though. We do have that, but there's nothing happening there. Yeah, I think that's it. Until next time, may you start to see the enchanted world that is all around you, and listen to the subtle prodding of the One Life as it's guiding you to see all of the magic that you're currently living with, and help you to maybe find ways that you can work with it better. Amen.
Amen.